Hello friends, so now let's move to the next topic. Okay, so next topic is about the criticisms of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, so let's start with the criticisms. The law of diminishing marginal utility is criticized on the following grounds. Okay, so first one is unrealistic assumptions. So what are unrealistic assumptions? Assumptions which are not true. Okay, the law of DMU, I have written in short, DMU is diminishing marginal utility, is based upon various assumptions like homogeneity, continuity, constancy, rationality, etc. But in reality, it is difficult to fulfill all these conditions at a point of time. Okay, so if you have seen the assumptions, okay, so in the previous lecture or in the previous video, you can see all these assumptions. Okay, homogeneity, continuity, constancy, rationality, it's not possible to fulfill all this at a point of time. Okay, next is the cardinal measurement. The law assumes that utility can be expressed cardinally. Cardinally is we can measure it, so it can be added, compared, presented through a schedule. Okay, so this is the criticisms, that it cannot be added, compared, or presented. In reality, cardinal is not possible to add, compare, present. It's not possible because it's a psychological concept. It's psychological concept. It cannot be done in reality. So that is one of the criticisms. Okay, so indivisible goods. Indivisible goods means what? It's not applicable to bulky goods like refrigerators, car, TV sets, etc. because we don't buy them in big quantities. We can buy them as in one quantity only. So these are normally purchased in single quantities at a time, and hence this is one of the criticisms of the diminishing marginal utility. Okay, then comes the constant marginal utility of money. Constant marginal utility. The law assumes that MU is marginal utility of each unit of money remains constant. Okay, so the diminishing marginal utility remains constant. So this is what it says. Okay, however, critics argue that MU of, that is marginal utility of money, differs from person to person. It is influenced by changes in price, stock of money, etc. Okay, so it is different for different people, hence the constant cannot be constant. Okay, so that is one of the reasons for the criticism. A single want. Okay, the law is restricted to satisfaction of a single want at a point of time. However, in reality, a man has to satisfy many wants at a time. You cannot just have one want, that I want this and that. Okay, so there are multiple wants at a time. So this is one of the criticisms. A single want, there cannot be a single want. Okay, that is a human tendency. Okay, so there was this 5 criticisms of the law of diminishing marginal utility. So we'll now move to the significance of the law. Significance is the importance. So in spite of the criticisms, the law of diminishing is a very popular and important law in economics because of its universal application. It's applied universally everywhere. Okay, so what is the significance, importance of the law? First is usefulness to the consumers. Okay, it is, this law creates awareness among the consumers to obtain maximum utility from the limited resources. It is necessary to diversify the consumption. Okay, so diversify the consumption in the sense you have one thing and you diversify your consumption. Just like we use water, you don't use water only for drinking. There are multiple purposes that we use the water for, or the electricity. Okay, use water for washing, cooking, okay, drinking, to make electricity. Okay, so that is making various uses, diversify the consumption. Okay, so next comes the usefulness to the government. Okay, so what's the usefulness to the government? The law is useful to the government in framing various policies such as the progressive taxation policy, trade policy, pricing policy. So there are various policies which the government tries to make or frame. Okay, so it's useful to the government, this diminishing marginal utility. Then the basis of paradox of value. Okay, So what is paradox of value? The law helps to understand the paradox. It includes goods that have more value in use and zero or less value in exchange, such as air, water, sunshine. So if you see, this has very less value. We don't pay anything for sunshine or water or air. Okay, water we might be paying the water bill, but for air and sunshine we don't pay anything. The value is very much high for everyone. If we don't have these things, we might die. Okay, so value in use is more, but the value in exchange is zero or less. Okay, so this is a paradox of values. As well as goods that have value in exchange, more value in exchange, like gold and silver. Okay, diamonds, they have more value in exchange, but the value in use is very less. It's not very important to buy all these things unless we have some occasion, or only the people having lots of money buy this. Okay, so it's not that useful to us. Okay, basis of the law of demand. The law of demand is based on the law of diminishing marginal utility. So according to the law of demand, the quantity demanded of a good rises with a fall in price. So if you have observed that if the price falls, obviously at the time of sale or everything, at the time of sale, we tend to buy the goods instead of when the price is high. And it falls with increase in price. So when the prices are very high, the demand falls. When a consumer purchases more and more units of goods, its marginal utility steadily declines. Declines means decreases. Hence, he would buy additional units of a commodity only at a lower price. Okay, if the price is low, then only he will buy the goods. Okay. Okay. So next is the relation between marginal utility and price. So what is the relation between MU and the price? Okay, market price of unit I have taken here is rupees 50, and let us assume that 1 unit of MU is rupees 10. So this is how we'll calculate this. Okay, so I've drawn a table over here. Okay. Sorry. So this is a number of units. So I've taken 6 units over here. Marginal unit of X is, the price I've taken is declining, 10, 8, 7, 5, 3, 2, 1. MU in terms of money, marginal utility in terms of money. So 1 unit is 10. So 10 into 10 will be 100, 10 into 8, 80, 10 into 7, 70, 10 into 5, 50, 10 into 3, 30, and 1 into 10, 10. And we have taken the market price as 50 for every unit. Okay, so comparison between MU and price. So first it's 100 for 10 units. For 8 units it's 80, but the market price is 50. Here it's 70, 50, 30 and 10. So initially the MU is high than the market price. Okay, MU is high, that is 100, 80, 70. But when it comes 50, okay, at 5 units, okay, so both marginal utility and price are equal. Here they are equal, but as it falls, the MU is less than the market price. Okay, so this is how I have compared it. Okay, so what do we infer from this? What do we understand from this? Units which a consumer willingly buys because MU is greater than price are called intramarginal units. MU of X is P of X. Okay, this greater is known as intramarginal units. These 3 are intramarginal units. Okay, because we are willingly buying more, greater than the price are called. Okay, then we'll move to the next unit of, okay, unit at which MU becomes equal with market price is marginal utility. Unit is marginal unit when MU and the price are same, consumers equilibrium, that is known as a consumers equilibrium. Both the market price and MU are same, but units which a rational consumer is not willing to buy and consume, where he has to pay more than the MU, are called extra marginal units. So when the market price is more, okay, so the market price is more than the MU, that it's known as extra marginal unit. So MU of X is less than price of X. Okay, the market price is more. Okay, so this is how we have compared it. Thus a rational consumer attains equilibrium. Rational means what? A person who can understand the price relationship and everything. He is a rational person and who will buy this according to the price movement. This relation between marginal price paves the way for law of demand. So that was it for this chapter for diminishing marginal utility. So after this comes the law of demand. So this paves the way to the law of demand. Okay, so the most likely questions that are willing to come from this chapter are like draw total marginality total utility curve and the marginal utility curve. Okay, so you can refer to the previous lectures to see how the total utility and the marginal utility curves are drawn. Okay, state and explain the law of diminishing marginal utility with exceptions. Okay, we have explained these exceptions as well. And what is the law of DMU? DM is diminishing marginal utility. What are its assumptions? There are few assumptions for it. What are the criticisms? So in this video, I have covered the criticisms of the law of DMU. And what is the relation between MU and price? So for relation for MU and price, you can refer to the table which I have shown in this video. Okay, so guys, if you have any questions related to this chapter, do let me know in the comment section. I will try to cover those in the next chapter. If you have still any doubts, okay, do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and we'll meet in the next chapter, that is demand analysis of the law of demand. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.